Handa na ba kayo dito kay Filipino lawyer and former judge sa International Criminal Court? Judge Raul Pangalangan is in the house. Wow, thank you so much, finally.
Pleasure. It's pleasure to be here.
There's been so much talk about the flood control projects, and up to now, people are still obsessed. It's all they talk about. Are you frustrated that they seem to be not really shelving, but have temporarily gotten amnesia about all the developments on the ICC case on Rodrigo Duterte in The Hague?
Well, I sure hope people don't forget that there are other battles going on elsewhere. But I'm also happy that people are, aware of what's happening in terms of the corruption in the flood control project.
Are you thinking like a lawyer on the case of the former president, Rodrigo Duterte, or do you have your own personal feelings and biases?
Well, of course, I do have my own personal feelings, but for the purpose of this interview, I'll have to be a very proper former judge of the
Right,
ICC.
and I haven't asked him, for the record, I haven't asked him what his personal feelings are. Anyway, nagkaroon po ng isang malaking desisyon mula sa The Hague, kamakailan, at ang balita ko nga medyo iniinda ni Judge Pangalangan dahil bakit hindi nabibigyan ng sapat na pansin daw itong desisyon na ito na napakahalaga. Bakit mahalaga at ano ba itong desisyon na ito mula sa The Hague na kailangan alam nating lahat?
Okay. This is the decision on jurisdiction of the court. So the position of the defense of the Duterte's counsel is that the court has no jurisdiction over the case, and therefore the case should be dismissed because the Philippines has withdrawn from the Rome Statute, and that therefore the court has lost jurisdiction over the case of former President Duterte. Now, I consider this very important, Korina, because had it been granted by the court, and had the court agreed with the defense that there is no jurisdiction, then the case is all over.
And it sets a precedent.
Well, it sets a precedent for future cases.
For future cases.
But the important thing, especially for life in the Philippines, is that if the court said, yes, there is no, we have lost jurisdiction, therefore the case is dismissed, and by today, Duterte will be home in the Philippines already.
Right.
And you can imagine the political, the sense of outrage of his followers that their idol was unfairly treated, the moral indignation, all the political theatrics that will follow. And of course, as you can imagine in Philippine politics, how some groups might capitalize on the dismissal of the case for their own political agenda.
Some people might interpret that as meaning that you don't have that much faith in the judicial system in the Philippines. Well, a lot of people don't. They don't have that much faith, but don't you also?
That is correct. Well, I'll have to go by exactly what the court said. The court says that in the jargon of the ICC, it's called the principle of complementarity. That the ICC is a court of last resort. It kicks in only if the originating jurisdiction, in this case the Philippines, has shown itself to be, and the jargon is, unwilling or unable genuinely to prosecute. So, and the usual defense of the Duterte camp is that this is an indictment of the entire Philippine legal system because our judicial system exists. It continues to function. The courts are still open. But as I love to emphasize, there are two tests. One test that they are responding to is that the courts are completely have collapsed. That is unable to prosecute. But the other test is unwilling to prosecute. So for me, if the argument is that our courts are perfectly functioning, then how come out of the more than 6,000 officially recorded victims, very few cases have moved forward? And that was the logic of the court in saying that the principle of complementarity.
So is it necessarily unpatriotic to be subscribing to the the indictment of the Philippine justice system?
Short answer, no, it is not unpatriotic. And I'm so glad you used that word, Korina, because, this element of patriotism has been really, how should I say this, manipulated in this discourse. So it appears that to side with the ICC is to join the condemnation of the Philippine judicial system. Well, to the extent that it hasn't moved, of course, it has to be condemned and called out for that. And there's nothing unpatriotic about, stating the truth. But at the same time, I have seen videos of President Duterte when he was still an incumbent president saying that he won't be judged by this court of white men And so by that kind of rhetoric plays upon the anti-colonial line.
Biases.
I saw a video where he says that my loyalty is to the Filipino people and the Filipino alone, and therefore I will answer to a Philippine court. I will not answer to the ICC. In fact, I recall Rappler at that time, in reply, just published a picture of the court. I mean, I was part of the court then. There were other non-white people, certainly non-white men, in the court. The president of the court was from Nigeria. The prosecutor was from the Gambia. This nationalist card has been
Overplayed.
Played to the hilt.
Or misplayed.
Yes, indeed.
Right. So, okay. But don't you think there would, or there might be some complication because we are now disengaged as members of the ICC. So what about cooperation? What about the current government saying that they're not going to cooperate for evidence and for corroborations? Is that going to be a complication?
It is, but it was fully addressed by the court in the decision last week. And that is why I said that it was like the biggest victory for the prosecution so far. That the court affirmed its jurisdiction. The court went into all the details of the argument. The treaty, the Rome Statute, is a treaty that was signed by the Philippines. We withdrew from the statute as a state party, in accordance with the rules. But also the terms of withdrawal provide that we cannot use that clause to frustrate the jurisdiction of the court. So the rule is that the court retains jurisdiction over all matters already under consideration at the time of the withdrawal.
Right, and also that the crimes in question
were committed at that time.
Were committed at the time that we were still members.
Yes.
So that's clear.
Yes.
That was made clear by that decision.
That is correct. And then if you turn to the charges proposed by the prosecution, they cover killings committed when Duterte was mayor, and then killings of, they call high-value targets when he was president, and then the barangay clearing operations when he was president. Okay. So those crimes were all committed while the Philippines was a member of the Rome Statute.
Okay, so yun po yung isang importanteng naging desisyon mula sa The Hague, jurisdiction. So that is now settled. And the other one, let's talk about the merits of the case a little later. But what was the second important decision?
Okay, about a week before that, the court also denied the motion of the defense for interim release. Again, just imagine the situation if he had been granted interim release, and I don't know where they proposed for him to spend that.
I think they were still scouting around for friendly and welcoming nations.
That is correct. And when the court rejected that motion, what is significant is that the court relied upon the very statements of the Duterte camp itself. So the test for under the Rome Statute for interim release is that the accused, there must be no risk of flight, of escaping. And what the court did was just to quote all the statements from Duterte's family, saying that they will help him break from the jail at The Hague.
They actually said things like that.
Yes, direct quotes, and I looked at the citations of the court. These were from transcripts, apparently translated. I imagine they were made either in Filipino or in
and also broadcast on television.
That is correct. So the strongest ammunition for the court were provided by the
family. So they got their father in trouble. I mean, they got their own.
Yes, early on, I think the Duterte's lawyers already made an appeal to his followers, and I suppose that will include the family, to desist from all these statements. But anyway,
well, it's too late for that.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. So the request for interim
could it be appealed?
Okay, that's a good question. Jurisdiction definitely can be appealed as a matter of right. The difference between the ICC and Philippine courts is that there is a list of motions which can be made as a matter of right. The others can be made only with leave of court. Magpapaalam ka sa judge. Judge, pwede ko ba i-appeal yung decision mo? And the judges can simply deny.
Can deny it.
So I'll have to check that. If that's most probably it's not. It's
not going to be appealable.
Yeah, not appealable as a matter of right. They'll have to ask for leave of court. Kasi these are like small interlocutory orders. Yeah.
It's
appeal jurisdiction is a major issue. That's why it is appealable as a matter of right, and it is already being appealed. And
so where does double jeopardy apply?
Double jeopardy is if there's called to be responsible for an act twice. In this case, jeopardy has set once, and that's the same jeopardy that's being pursued to the end.
Right.
So he's not being prosecuted.
So it's not like they can take back what they said, that they would try to break loose their father from jail. They can't take it back or show remorse or
well, that's
for
a
an
matter
appeal.
as a matter of fact, as a question of fact, that is already part of the record.
I
Hindi
see.
na pwedeng,
Hindi na pwedeng-
but I think when you spoke of jeopardy, double jeopardy, maybe you had in mind the question of appeal being raised many times. Indeed, it has been raised many times. And under the rules of the court, it can be raised only once by one party. So it was raised by the Republic of the Philippines early on. Jurisdiction was affirmed at that stage. But you see, every accused is entitled to his day in court. And so now that we have a case against a specific person, namely Rodrigo Duterte, he is entitled to raise the jurisdiction again, which is what he did. And then he will appeal. He's now appealing it before the appeals chamber. And theoretically, every other person who will be charged in the future should be able to raise it. Although I imagine at some stage, if jurisdiction is affirmed at every stage, they would know that it's a useless matter.